Hello, this is Teacher Wayne and I'm continuing my zombie survival game written in Unity, and I'm just continuing the player movement, but now I'm looking at the mouse movement part of the scripting. So if we have a look where we are at the moment, we are at a place where we've got a character and it responds to the WASD keys. So we can move forward, we can move backwards, we can go left, we can go right, but we can't move our mouse. We can't look around using our mouse. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new script and add to our existing script some mouse controls. So let's open up our script. So here's our current script we've got for our player, and what we want to do is, I've also a small little change I've made since the last video is we have our player. I've created in fact I'll just do it for you because it's quite straightforward. Our player, I'm going to create an empty here, and I want to call this, rename it to pivot point. It's basically a anchor, and onto that we're going to add our camera. So our player script is attached to the player, and we're going to add another script, and we're going to add it to the actual pivot point, which will be our mouse, one of our mouse ones, but I'll look at that in a minute. So in here we're going to have another function. We're simply going to call this one, just give me 1 minute while I find the correct area here. We're going to create a new script, and we're going to call this, wrong one, it's going to be called void. I'm going to call this one, we could call it mouse, and what shall we call it? Mouse left right. So basically we're going to be using the mouse and it's going to go left and right, and let's just actually, we're going to be calling its function up there. And what we're going to do is going to be the same sort of setup as this. We're going to be creating vector frees. We're going to be doing roughly the same as this. So we're going to be creating some local variables, but this time we're going to be using float x. So we're creating a local little variable called float, but this time it's going to be called mouse x, and this is going to be input dot get axis, the same again, but this time we are not creating, it's not horizontal. If we look at here in Unity and we look at the project settings and input, we've used this horizontal x. What we want to do is access the mouse x and mouse y. So here we are, we want to access the mouse x. To be honest, you can just copy and paste, makes it really easy. So mouse x there, I'm going to access that one. So if I move my mouse the x and y, in other words if I move my mouse in that sort of way, left to right, what we want to do is we're going to create a vector free again, the same as this. It's vector free, and we're going to call it a new variable, and we're going to call it, but this time we're looking at the rotation. We're not looking at directions, transformations, we're looking at rotations, current rotation. And what we need to do is look at our current rotation, because what we're going to do is we're going to change the current rotation. So it's going to be transform again, very similar to what we've done before, but this time this is something new. It's called local, and there it is, Euro angles, and you've got to spell that correctly. And if you've opened it up properly like I have, it should automatically just do this for you like it did for me. You don't have to worry about this correct spelling, because it can get very annoying. Thank you very much for that advert. So vector free current rotation, local Euro angles, right? Okay. Now what we want to do is we want to change it. We want to increase that variable there dependent on this input here. So that is going to be affected by that. So what we're going to do, that is going to equal that, plus, so we want to increase the current rotation by mouse equals, and the way we do that, we just go plus equals, and that means increase the current rotation and add that to that as a vector freeze, like adding two variables together. Another way of doing it is putting current rotation equals current rotation plus mouse x. That's another way of doing it. And then what we want to do is we want to transform our angle. So it's virtually this bit here. We're going to copy and paste that bit. We want to do that. We want to make our transformer look equal to the current rotation. Now I have made one mistake here, because that current rotation, we're not changing all of it, we're only changing one bit. This is a vector free, and a vector free consists of an x, y and z. We're only changing one of them, and we're currently changing the y. It sort of doesn't make sense that that's why you think it'd be the x, but it's not. It's just the way it does it in Unity. Makes it a little bit confusing. And that is it really. So I'm going to make mouse left right, mouse left right. So let's save that and see if it works. Yeah, left right, mouse left right. We can't go up and down yet, but I'm going left and I'm going right, and I'm moving forward and back here. So the WAS key works and the mouse left right works. Really quite straightforward. So now we want to do the up and down. Now you'd think logically you'd put the up and down in this script here, but if you look here, it's a player. What happens if we rotate this left to right? Let's be positioning ourselves above it and have a look so you can get a better picture or understand what I'm talking about here. If I look there, and if I do a rotate, that's fine. It just does this business, doesn't it? Which is what you want to do. You want to do a left right look. But if I go like this and I do a rotate, watch what happens. It rotates the entire figure, doesn't it? So if we're trying to move forward, what do you think is going to happen when we do forward? That will literally try to go into the ground, bounce it, and it will just screw everything up. And we don't want to do that, do we? Change that back to 0. What we want to do, which is why we do the pivot point, is we rotate the pivot point. It doesn't matter if the pivot point goes up and down, because it doesn't affect the body. Can you see? And that's why we're going to attach a new script, and we're going to attach it to the pivot point. And we're going to create one new one called mouse Y, which in typical Blue Peter fashion I've already created. So I'm going to copy. It's called look Y. I've already created it. I'm just going to move it in, and I'll just open it up to show you what the look Y goes. I'm going to get rid of all the stuff we don't need and get rid of that one. So this is the look Y script. If you look, we have an up down. If we compare it to this one here, it's virtually the same as this, except if you're not looking at mouse X, we're looking at mouse Y, and we're just looking at XY. So this is a script called look Y, and all it does is it does the up and down. So I'm just going to save this. Obviously we're going to have to attach this script, and we're going to attach this to the pivot point. So the pivot point has that attached, that has that to it. Now let's press play and have a look, and I'll speed that quite quick. So there, now look, up and down does, left and right, but as I go up and down it doesn't move our movement about. And there you are. We haven't got the gravity working as yet. I'm pressing space, nothing happens, but we have our movement done now. We can move forward, backwards and forwards. And there you are. That is as simple as it gets. So this is Teacher Wayne saying goodbye, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you very much.